record any of that. But
I did.
now we're recording, and now we're ready for a show.
Cool. Well, I am ready to start the actual show. John, are you ready?
Ready as I'll ever be.
Ro, are you ready?
I'm always ready.
He was born ready.
I thought he was born to be wild.
He was born a baby. I want to start a story that way.
Well, automatically, his name was not Benjamin Buttons.
Bubbles.
Welcome to House Around the Roundtable, episode 310. My name is Ben Bumhofer. I am having a fantastic Friday. I hope you are too. With me this week, as always, is John Jagger. How's it going, John?
Hello, Ben! It's Friday night here in Azeroth, and I'm super happy to be joining you at the round table. I'm excited. Because you know what, Ben? This is not just a show. This is a prequel to us going and seeing a movie. And I'm excited about all these things, and I'm ready to go. But you know what, Ben? It's not just us.
No, it's not.
We have a guest.
We do have a guest.
A special guest.
A special guest.
Special in that he's here a lot, which some would say doesn't make him special, but I say makes him extra special, because why would he be here a lot if he wasn't special to us? Ro, welcome back to the show.
Well, thank you. It's great to be here. It's actually been a while. I think it's one of my longest absences from the show in a bit, just because I've been working Friday nights way too much.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's amazing. We've had some regulars who, unfortunately, have gotten very busy on Fridays. You being one of them.
What's up with that? Social lives.
Yeah, but I do know that it will be a lot easier to appear on the show for at least the next, 6-7 months starting next week?
Oh, good. That's good. I'm happy in a good way. I'm assuming.
That's about the only reason why you can be happy about the time change, Ben.
Oh, the time change, right?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that happens on Sunday.
That special time of year where everybody else does a little time warp, and well, we just keep on trucking.
You guys just keep on trucking,
yeah. Exactly. By the way, John, I gotta say I am quite impressed with your kind of joke punctuation with the cup. It was really good. Right. I noticed. I just want you to know I noticed.
Ben, when it's Friday night and you've gathered amongst friends to sit down and talk about a game you're passionate about, a game you've been invested in since you were in school, that's a time worth taking a moment to really reflect on, to really think, and to really appreciate the good times.
This is where the video is so much better sometimes. Well, it's funny that you mentioned that, John, is that we have been playing this game for a very long time. A lot of things have been happening since the very, inception of World of Warcraft. Everybody's having fun. Everybody's doing stuff. The world's growing. The world's getting bigger. And things change. I had a thought the other day, and I find it really kind of weird, and it's blowing my mind. Aren't we further away from Cataclysm than vanilla was to Cataclysm at this point?
Oh, geez.
Yes.
You didn't tell me we were starting with math, Ben.
I think I can safely say yes, we are.
Isn't that just kind of weird? I don't want to be like, yeah, you remember that? That was cool. No, that's not what I want to do. I randomly thought of it, I don't know, a day or two ago, and it just blew my mind. I'm sitting here, I'm like, oh my God, vanilla WoW seriously it's been dead for, 10 years now? Something like that?
Yeah, basically. It's what's really strange is that just a few days ago, Taryn Gregory put up on his Twitter feed, it's like, man, it's been 6 years since this cinematic appeared, and they showed the intro cinematic for 5.2, the Thunder King. I know it's one of your favorite raids, but the Thunder King cinematic, the previews, awesome, but to realize, man, that was 6 years ago that we were in Pandaria. That's nuts.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the Thunder King, not the most popular bit of patch content over on these parts, but it's crazy. That was a long time ago.
Yeah, it just kind of makes you wonder and appreciate like how much has grown, how much has changed. I mean, think about just the classes themselves, the stuff that's changed with that. Much less like storyline and I mean power levels going up. And granted, yes, I've been watching a whole lot of Dragon Ball Super lately, so power levels are definitely a thing on my mind.
We're all about it.
I mean, can you imagine if they had a stat squish in Dragon Ball? He's over 9!
I'm waiting for them to add fusions to World of Warcraft.
That'd be great. That'd be great.
What
But,
what would an Alanya Eos fusion be like?
An abomination.
I would control the body. I would control the abilities. It would be a rogue. It would look like my character. But if you sent it a whisper, you'd get a response.
And it could teleport.
Yeah, and it could teleport.
Yeah, it'd blink and teleport, and that's it. And it'd be abomination. But no, I mean, a lot of stuff has changed since the beginning. We've gotten Death Knights, which are kind of popular with some, but I mean, think about they came in Wrath of the Lich King, and they were the hero class before the Demon Hunters. I totally forgot what they were called for a second. Right. And it's like, it's so not a special thing to be all like, I have a Death Knight and it's leveled and stuff. It's just like they're just part of the crew now, you know. I don't know. I don't know if I'm like getting like middle-aged Warcraft man vibes or something, but it's just all of a sudden it just hit me that Cataclysm is older than Vanilla was when it was replaced.
Well, time to redo the entire world again, WoW team.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
they kind of are doing that just piece by piece. I mean, gradually over time, rather than, revamping a whole bunch of zones at once. We got Darkshore revamped. We have Arathi Highlands revamped. In a way, it's just kind of a slow burn on changing zones.
Yeah, and one thing that I do appreciate is that, and it's something that we've talked about before, is that they keep putting bronze dragon people who aren't dragons, but in like mortal form or whatever, right, in all these different zones so that you can hop back and forth. So it's something that I definitely really appreciate, especially since I'm such a huge fan of Undercity. That's kind of a bummer to go there now and be like, oh yeah, everything's destroyed.
Right.
I'll just talk to this person. Everything will be fine again. Yay! It's like, I don't know. With the world changing, I can't help but think of like holidays and stuff. Like once Hallow's End happened, can you just picture the Headless Horseman coming out and being like, what the hell happened to all this stuff while I was gone?
Yeah, he says his little speech. He comes out and he's just like, was I here earlier?
Now that you bring that up, that actually brings up an interesting question. So, I didn't participate in Hallow's End as far as the holiday event just this past year. That happened around Halloween. Battle for Azeroth had already been out. Did they move some of that stuff because Lordaeron has been all, blighted and uninhabitable? Or did you just, in order to participate in that Hallow's End stuff, did you have to talk to the time person to go there?
Yeah, I believe you had to talk to the time person.
That's weird.
I mean, otherwise, there's no way to do it. It's like, oh, okay. I guess there's no Burning Man because everything's on fire. Can't really drop stink bombs because the whole place is plagued out. I mean,
Tiber says most of it happens in Brill.
Well, like the doing it, they're stopping the flames and stuff like that. But a lot of the actual like celebration, like getting the quests and stuff like that, that actually happens top side of Undercity.
Gotcha.
So,
yeah. Well,
yeah,
Hallow's End was canceled this year. The Alliance attacked. What are you gonna do?
Oh man, the Alliance is going to canceling everything
and unfairly ruining our holidays.
Next thing you know, they're going to cancel Winter's Veil or Orphan Week. Or Children's Week, not Orphan Week. That makes it sound a little worse.
We're canceling Orphan Week. Not enough orphans. If you want to celebrate, you better get out there and make some more orphans.
They actually added content to that. I think that's part of 815 is there's now going to be a Cole Tieran and Zandalari Children's Week quest.
More pets!
Yep.
Oh my god, don't get me started on pets right now.
There are way too many pets in the
What's
game.
going on with pets right now, Ben?
I'm a little mad about
Uh-oh.
pets right now.
Oh. Is this why you
So I'm-
canceled your other show?
It's on a long-running hiatus right now, John.
Oh.
Wow.
By the way, there's something in the works. Keep following me on Twitter. Anyways, so there's an item in game right now that costs 1,000 pet charms to get.
Mm-hmm.
It's called like the pet portal or something like that. It lets you have an additional 1,000 slots for pets. I'm like, oh, that's cool. I'm never gonna need that. I have 1,000 pets. I have the achievement for getting 1,000 pets. I can't have any more pets.
Oh, wow.
They got you.
So now I'm trying to every day do the pet quests the pet battle quests that give you the charms, so I can pay the stupid 1,000 charms to get more pets, which I need more charms to buy the rest of the pets that you get anyway. But I mean, I can't believe it. I'm sitting here, I'm like, oh, I'll never have to worry about getting that stupid thing. But no, it's pissing me off because it's like, okay, 815 comes in. There's a new achievement that is my favorite thing to do anytime they do it, and that's raiding with leashes and getting all the different pets from the stuff. So I can get them to drop, but they're just going to sit in my bag, and it's just going to piss me off. And then when Dark Moon Fair comes, the 3 new Dark Moon Fair like balloon pets, can't get those because guess what? Don't have any room. I've got all the tickets for them and everything, and I'm sitting there. I'm like, I like the fact that there's a lot of pets. I think there's way too many duplicates of certain things. Like we need 1 squirrel versus 5 different squirrels that all look the same. But overall,
Now, isn't there also like an item or something that gets it up to 1,500? Is there something that says you have to unlock the 1,000 one before you get the 1,500 one?
I don't know off the top of my head. All I know is that I can't hold any more pets. And I went to the dude, and he's all like, yeah, it costs 1,000. Go get it for me. I'm a little kid. Huh?
Well,
I don't know. I
Ben,
should go to Old Dollar and check it out. But I'm just sitting there I'm fuming.
I got a solution for your problem.
Stop collecting
Let me
pets.
tell you about putting animals in cages. Not only is it a good way to free up a little pet space, but to make a tidy bit of profit as well.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah,
Do
but
you have
no.
any duplicates?
No, that's no duplicates.
1,000 unique pets.
Mm-hmm. Technically 1,002.
That's a lot of poop.
It is. It is. Why do you think my main was a mage? You just cast a little portal over it and disappears, goes somewhere.
Stormwind.
You just walk around Stormwind, this little tiny portal appears over, just
Old Dollaran, we're gonna fill that hole.
that'd be a good way to do it, actually.
Yeah.
I mean, I
Just
do have that portal. So
Miniature
makes
pet
sense.
portals. You open them right behind your pet, right as they squat. Bloop. Right through the portal. Close the portal before the pet, heaven forbid,
Falls in.
backs up. And then straight to Old Dollaran.
Well, good
Well,
news when you're playing Portal Roulette now. You're not going to die when you pick the Ancient Dalaran one. It's
Yeah.
going to be a soft landing. Maybe.
Maybe.
Depending on how long it's been.
I'd say it's time to repurpose that hole.
Yeah.
I'd
fill
say
in the
so.
hole.
It's only that hole's only been there for like what? 10 years now? Because Lich King is 10 years old.
You know what?
I
Let's
mean-
turn it into a pool.
Yeah, real sweet pool.
Public pool. There's a really big deep end, but it'll be fun.
That's that's what solves the battle for Azeroth. We all decide communal pool. We're all gonna pitch in and make a sweet Dollaran pool.
No, we just need to get together and have a pizza pool party. That's what it is.
Now look, if we can cooperate just this much, I'm going to move the little figure up, and at the end, pool. If we go this high, water slide. You know, it's
not like an awesome water slide either. It's just one of the ones that, like, you know, just sits on the edge of a pool.
Okay, so I actually have a question for you guys. So we've had Darkshire and we've had Arathi Highlands updated because of Battle for Azeroth content. But if you could pick just one zone from Eastern Kingdoms and Kalimdor to give kind of an HD remake update, you know, refresh it for the times, whether it's has directly involved with the story or not, what zone would you like to see get touched up?
John, you go first.
for Alice. That zone's crazy. And it's like being assaulted by green. Like, it was the original Legion. Like, you went there and you were just like, it's too much green. I can't. I literally can't even. I think that they should redo that, because I think that place is cool. That's one of my... I don't know why, I've got a weird nostalgia feeling for Alice for some reason. It was just a zone I found my way in, and just kind of got lost running around in the mountains. It reminded me kind of EverQuest in some degree, because it was one of those places where there were a lot of really, like, strong elite giants and dragons and stuff that, you know, they weren't necessarily part of what you should be out there fighting, but they were around, and it just kind of made the zone exciting and cool for that reason.
Yeah, I also feel like Feralis is kind of a good candidate because, as far as I know, there's still quite a bit of active night elves in that region. So if the Horde's trying to reclaim Kalimdor entirely for itself, that feels like one of the more likely contested zones.
Yeah.
I can
Could have a Dire Maul battleground.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
I would like to see something happen with Desolace, because that place sucks.
They updated like 5% of it in Cataclysm.
Yeah, during the Cataclysm, it's like, oh, all of a sudden, hey, look at that, there's a cool oasis, this is neat. Then you go out there, it's like, there's nothing to do still.
So
you have to fight stupid centaurs.
Ben's not wrong. I have a weird... Speaking of... let's talk more about weird nostalgic bones for a moment. I have a weird nostalgic bone for Desolace. I don't know why I like that zone so much, but I do. And I went through, and I've now leveled 2 characters completely through that zone. And it sucks, and I don't know why I do it. But, like, I look at the stupid War Chief's board, which, by the way, Blizzard, here's a quality of life improvement. Let me scroll. Don't make me accept the quest and then click the board again, and then accept another quest and then click the board again. Like, just let me scroll through the board options. It's a neat little cheat to get around. You just, alright, I accept them all. Alright, I accept them all. Alright, I accept them all. Alright, here's where I'm going. Now abandon, 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 abandon. I just want to be able to pick.
Yeah.
I want to pick Desolace right from the get-go and feel bad about it later. I don't want to have to do a whole lot of work before I feel bad. But for some reason, every time it comes up, I'm like, yeah, Desolace, right? Centaurs, and now it's got some green in it. That's exciting. It's got cool ruins. I love Desolace. And then, like, as I'm riding around, I'm like, oh my gosh, this zone did not get the same level of attention as other zones. This zone is a chore and a half.
Yeah, last time when I was leveling my my Nightborn, I'm like, okay, I haven't done new Desolace yet, let's do this. Oh, it's old Desolace. A lot of it. This is the worst.
Yeah, you barely even go into the green areas. Barely.
Yeah, it's basically... It's like, oh, there's a flight point there, and then I think maybe an inn. And then that's really the only reason you're there.
Yeah, you kind of quest hub out of one. But all the quests you do is outside of it.
Yeah, and it's still like, hey, let's go hunt down 20 centaurs. Because...
Yeah, but you're going to unify the centaur tribes. And actually, I think I told this story, but that's the one where... Because I was getting so sick of being there, I didn't read the quest text, and I didn't realize I was supposed to get on a centaur's back, or whatever.
Yes.
And I started fighting elites, and was just like, why is this game hard? And it was because I didn't read the quest text.
Yeah, Desolace. Ray, what about you? Do you have a one
yeah.
that? Okay.
I definitely do. It's also a Kalimdor zone, and it's something I brought up a few times before. Being a Hearthstone fan, there's a little set from a couple years ago called Mean Streets of Gadget Zan. And guys, the Gadget Zan in Hearthstone is freaking amazing. It's expanded, it's huge. You have a mix of cultures from all over the world together. You have gang warfare. People are in the streets singing music songs and snapping their fingers. It's pretty freaking great. And then you play that in Hearthstone and you experience that, and you would think after, well over a decade that the Gadget Zan in Daenerys would have grown somewhat. I mean, no. It's still pretty much about just as good as, say, Winter Spring or Ratchet or any of the other Goblin towns, and that's so disappointing. I mean, I know that the universe of Hearthstone is separate from the universe of World of Warcraft. They're two different Azeroths, but man, they did so much with Gadget Zan and Hearthstone. I'd like to see them take some inspiration from that. And I mean, all that empty space in Daenerys, it'd be a neutral city. It just feels like there's so much potential to take what the Hearthstone team did flavor-wise and bring it into the game.
Yeah, 1,000 times yes, I agree with you. Hearthstone is an alternate Azeroth, but look, I don't even like Hearthstone, but it's the better Azeroth.
It really is. I mean, look, you go to Daenerys right now, and Gadget Zan there's no mean streets. There's the Thunderdome.
There's no streets.
And the other side of the city. Oh, it's not a city. Okay, it's basically the size of Luke's homestead from Star Wars.
And looks like it too. It just has 100% more Don Carlos.
Yeah, and 100% less big hole in the ground.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, then again, the auction house is underground, so maybe like 60% less. But no, I'm right with you. I mean, can you imagine if it actually expanded? Like, take the goblin kind of city-ish thing that's in Ashara, and put something like that in its place. Then you have something going right there, and then you can fill it with different, races and stuff from all around the Azeroth. I know there's Pandaren who live there because there's a whole black market run by Pandaren. It's like,
the Jade Lotus is led by a Pandaren.
That Goblin City in Ajara is awesome too, and you don't do enough there, I don't think. Like, you go there and then they send you out into Ajara proper, and I'm like, man, what? I would quest all over the place in this city. Like, honestly, that was one of my favorite things about this expansion was questing at the docks inside the city, and it was like, oh crap, I got stuff in the city to do. Like, that was cool. It made me realize how unexplored that aspect of RPG tropes World of Warcraft is, because typically in a role-playing game, if you play any of the Elder Scrolls or Neverwinter Nights or Baldur's Gate or any of those, you get to a city and you're like, this is where I'm going to be for the next several hours, just exploring the city, doing quests in the city. There's so much stuff to do there usually. And it's actually kind of weird because WoW is this odd exception where you'll get quests in the city every now and then, but most of the time it's, okay, now get out of here, go do it.
Okay, very important question. In all of WoW, is there a quest to kill giant rats underneath a bar?
I mean, there are giant rats in the Dalaran sewers, but I don't know if there's a quest related to killing them.
Yeah, because, I mean, isn't that like the big fantasy trope of killing either giant rats or giant spiders underneath the tavern?
That's the spider-rat hybrid, spatters.
Yeah, spatters. You got to watch out for those spatters.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
I almost want to say that there's one. I want to say that I think there's one, because I thought in my early days of leveling up an Alliance character that there was one tavern that had something in the cellar that you had to go kill.
Okay, chat saying that you catch regular rats. Why am I having a hard time with spiders and rats? You catch regular rats in the deep run tram, but I mean that's.
Yeah, WoW not big on the giant rat trope. in a lot of ways. Like, most of the time with rats, they're just regular rats.
Until you can ride them.
Yeah. Yeah, then they jump super high up.
You know, it's funny that we're talking about, like, there's not a whole lot of questing done in the cities of older expansions and older times in WoW, and it just makes you think about all the unused spaces that are still, from like a world perspective, they're still there. You wonder what's going on in them. I mean, one city that I bring up all the time is Gilneas, which you would think would be a very important spot right now in Battle for Azeroth. Whether technically the Alliance or the Horde control it, considering Gen is in such an important position, during this whole conflict, I thought at some point we were going to have something where the Alliance attempts to retake Gilneas, or the Horde attempts to just completely level it, or something. But my point being, one of the things I loved about Gilneas leveling up as my Worgen character was that city was, art-wise, was great. It was huge. It was expansive. One of my most enjoyable times as far as like leveling and questing anything was in Gilneas, and to just not be able to reuse that or repurpose that, especially after we've lost a couple of key cities. I mean, man, I don't know. It feels like a missed opportunity to me. They may have plans for it in the future, but I'd really love to see them do something with Gilneas
right now. New undead capital, Gilneas.
Oh, shit.
Oh, man.
Can you imagine?
How cool would that be?
Oh, there would be
shots.
some wolves howling on the internet.
Now, the big question is, would they actually like burrow under the city for it, or would they just stay above and
Stay above.
No.
Relax. Be like, oh, it's blighted. That's a shame. I'm fine. How are you?
Oh, that'd be so cool. Oh, I would love that.
Yeah.
I would absolutely love that.
I kind of feel the same way about the Goblin starting city too. That's a city you do actually quest in a lot. Really cool city. Got sweet roads that are like roller coasters and all of that. And that's another one. It's just gone. Just not a part of the game anymore.
Do we go back there for Motherlode? Is that what happens?
You're kind of you're technically there-ish.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember if you're there or if you're on the second island that you go to, but it is supposed to be one of those two.
Yeah.
But yeah, obviously everything's all bleh by then and full of trash. I can't believe a city that was literally nothing but junk and garbage somehow got trashier.
Yeah. That's what happens when all those goblins move back in. Gotta watch out. I gotta say, though, the idea of more stuff kind of changing, like, maybe not to the point of a whole Cataclysm, like, redo, but, actually have Azeroth continue forward and give it that, the Bronze Dragon, hey, we can swap back and forth between current and past and stuff like that, I think would actually work out really well, especially with some storytelling going forward. Because of Battle for Azeroth and, all the stuff that's going on, all the fighting, and yeah, I get that there's a couple zones that are now war zones and stuff. Makes sense. We're continuing that story. But have things be developed, really kind of amp up a lot of that stuff. Like, last expansion, like going into ICC and having it be, just totally wrecked, but there's still like ghosts of the undead. I don't know a good way to put it, but like basically just remnants of what was in, still be in there and everything like that. It was really interesting and neat to see. Yeah. I'd love to see that with like, imagine going back to Ulduar after everything that happened there and us killing Yogg-Saron and stuff. Like, what's going on there at this point? A big, huge thing happened.
You think WoW would ever do a crazy time jump?
Well, would it be considered a different timeline?
Like, well,
I'm looking at you, Warlords.
But what I mean is this, is like, I can see WoW. I mean, we're getting to the point where how many more continents and islands can we discover? There's always ideas. You can always go underground. There's supposedly, a bunch of stuff down there. There's ways to get around it. There's other planets, which they've said in the past they don't love the idea of, but maybe now that we've done so much, maybe that becomes more appealing. But regardless, you can only do so much. Eventually, I feel like they get to like where Mortal Kombat is right now, which was, we retold all the stories that you knew. So I don't know, I guess the next baddie is about time travel, because what are we gonna do? So I just kind of feel like we're getting to that point where it's like, Ben's right. Like, the stuff that I find cool in the story right now is seeing these places in the future. Like, oh, here's Ulduar after we were done. Here's Ice Crown after we were done. Like, seeing these places evolve has become really interesting to me. And I wonder if they would ever do anything like a crazy time jump where even if you were like, but I like my character, I don't want my character to be old or dead, where they could even do like, I think it was Terra, one of those MMOs that I played very briefly, where your character is like sealed away and then awakened later in the future.
Yep. And then you jump back in time.
Yeah.
To like start the whole Cataclysm thing that happened. That's right. I remember that.
Well, I can definitely say that the possibility for a time travel expansion or a time travel content patch is definitely still out there, because without spoiling too much, there is evidence that shows the Infinite Dragonflight is still a thing. Just because Murozond was taken out at the end of Cataclysm, the Infinite Dragonflight still exists. It was the reason why Garrosh was able to get to Draenor in the first place, but the Infinite Dragonflight is still around, and if you do one of the profession quest lines, you'll actually run into that.
Well, they are infinite.
Right. Sure. But I've been wanting a time travel expansion since, several years ago, probably around the time of Pandaria, actually, because when we got to Pandaria, I was almost at that point starting to think, well, it seems like World of Warcraft has done everything where we're doing pandas now. How about time travel? And then they had the Timeless Isle, which kind of teased a little bit of that. And I actually thought that the Timeless Isle was going to be like a precursor to a time travel expansion. Didn't exactly, which I guess Draenor, but man, I hate Draenor and its whole concept of time
I know.
travel.
I love asking this question because it's like, John, I've listened to this show before. I remember you being pretty upset about time travel, and now you're going to sit here and tell me, hey guys, you think they'll ever do time travel?
Well, it really depends on how they do it. I mean,
It's all about the execution.
Yeah, I mean, the whole, we've got to go back and stop a cataclysm. That I don't think that works all that well, because then we're just changing our timeline. But doing some sort of time jump or something like that, I can see that. I mean, how many times and how many quests have we actually interacted with Chromie where she needed our help with something? I can see her, in fact, hell, the whole, Chromie quest line from the end of Legion was about helping her in the future. Mm-hmm. So I can see them, maybe possibly making some sort of expansion that goes along with that.
I have a question for you.
42.
If you look at MMO history, we had this MMO pretty early, around the time of World of Warcraft, called EverQuest. And EverQuest had a sequel, EverQuest 2. Mm-hmm. If I recall, I didn't play those games, but if I recall, EverQuest 2 took place a significant amount of time after the events of EverQuest 1.
That's correct.
And it was its own separate game, own separate characters and such like that.
Yep.
How would you guys feel about, maybe not call it World of Warcraft 2, but how would you feel about a sequel MMO? You could still, I don't think it's some, I think your subscription, your $14.99 subscription should allow you to play either one. But how would you feel about basically a sequel that takes place, literally a century or two further, new characters, new grind, so on and so forth?
I think the only way I would do it is if it was a single player, just like story driven game. And that's it. I couldn't do another MMO and I don't have another MMO in me.
That's
as
fair.
much as I love WoW, as much as I'm playing WoW and everything like that, I've tried playing another one at the same time. Can't happen.
I kept trying to get into Final Fantasy, and I because I love the world of Final Fantasy 14, and yet I keep on not having the time for it. So I totally relate.
It's like, I've jumped into SWTOR now and then, but I don't know. I don't have it in me to do all that much. Mm-hmm. And I mean, the thing that I think, if this were to happen, that Blizzard would have the worst part in, is they're splitting their player base. Because if they were going to have a, let's not call it WoW 2, let's call it, I don't know, Future WoW, whatever you want to call it, it's still taking players from WoW and putting them in another game. And as much as people maybe try to play both of them, you only have so much time.
Yeah.
And so then you have the people who left to go into the Future WoW, the people in old WoW. I mean, there's some people who are just going to hold on to with dear life and never let go of that. I mean, hell, EverQuest is still going on. And it's just, I don't see it as something that could actually happen and persist. Like, as cool as it would be to, jump, a whole lot of time into the future. And as soon as you do that, what happens to current WoW? Are we still getting expansions? Is there stuff that, is the future WoW spoilers to new expansions that are coming out? I mean, how would that work too?
There's, for me, two answers to this question. There's, is it a good idea? And there's, do you want it? Do I want it? Yes. Because I think it's time for WoW to dramatically change. I love the game. I continue to play every expansion. Despite how a lot of people felt about this expansion, had a absolute blast with this expansion. But that said, every year we get a little further from WoW when it was brand new and shiny, and those mechanics start to feel a little more and more dated, and things start to look a little sillier and sillier, and we are getting to a place where I spend a lot of time in WoW thinking, man, I kind of wish this played different. Man, I kind of wish this was different. But I don't think it's right for them to change that. Now, I know I've pushed for that in the past. Maybe I'm getting older. Maybe I'm getting wiser. Maybe I'm just like, meh, I'm feeling better for other people. But I don't think it's right to come in necessarily.
Empathy, John.
Yeah, I don't like it. I don't like it. But I don't think that anybody should have to say like, oh, well, they changed the gameplay, so now I guess I don't like this game that I spent a ton of time with now. That sucks. So I think they should keep WoW true to itself. But that said, I'm ready for another game. I'm ready for a game that actually feels like a genuine sequel rather than an expansion pack. Yeah, that's what I personally want. But the second answer is that no, it's a bad idea and they shouldn't do it.
Yeah, I mean, you and I, we played through all 3 iterations of Star Wars Galaxies. Mm-hmm. Changing the fundamental gameplay is definitely not the way to ever go.
Yeah.
That it broke the game twice. And then everybody was a Jedi, and that was just stupid.
Yeah, so it's not a good idea, but man, I would be so excited if they did.
Yeah, your idea, Ben, of having a single-player game take place a significant amount of time in Azeroth's future sounds really compelling, and I kind of wish they'd go there. I'd play a Blizzard single-player RPG, that felt kind of open world-ish, Skyrim-esque, or however you want to call it. Or heck, I'd even play something that was more like, Divinity or Baldur's Gate or what have you. I want a new experience in the same world that I've been invested in for so many years.
Question for you. Would you want it in our Azeroth or Hearthstone Azeroth?
Hearthstones.
I'd be fine. I'd be fine with either. To be genuinely honest, I would be fine with if that happened in Hearthstone Azeroth, where things are a bit wacky, and you have Ragnaros the Light Lord, and Azeroth, and a number of Azeroth's heroes are now Death Knights. Sure, bring it on. Why not?
That'd be kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I mean some sort of party based like classic style RPG, like like Divinity or Dragon Age, the original Dragon Age or something like that. I think that could be actually really cool and compelling. I know that it wouldn't be nearly close to as popular as World of Warcraft was, especially in its heyday, but I could totally see that being a ton of fun, and imagine having like this great epic like story to it. Like one of the neat things about World of Warcraft is the fact that each expansion is this great big epic story that they're telling. Whether the best examples are really, like Lich King or maybe Cataclysm, because there's this giant thing that's going to destroy the world, and we're tasked to go and stop it. And that's what a lot of the different RPGs that are out there basically are. It's like, oh, I'm just, podunk little person. All of a sudden, I get my hero's journey calling and stuff, and you go through and there's this massive epic thing going on. Seeing something like that from like that sort of perspective in Azeroth, I think would be really cool, especially in a world where there are heroes and adventurers all over the place, and you being like the special in that. Even though technically we are in WoW, but can you imagine like people who are essentially the adventurers who are our characters helping the actual special person going through and like being in a party with them? Heck, maybe there's multiplayer where you each control 5 people and then you can have like a raid or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah,
just an idea.
There's a lot of cool ideas that you could kind of go with if like we were considering another game in the Warcraft universe. I know every single time I get together with a group of friends and play Vermintide 2, I sit there and think, gosh, I wish this is what we did. I wish this was raiding. This is way better than raiding. And so there's like, that's the feeling that I get. And it's like, this could be in the Warcraft universe. Replace rats with something else.
Alessander had mentioned she'd like to see Warcraft in a tabletop D&D form. I know there's a podcast that actually kind of does that, but you can adapt the world of Azeroth and the story and the lore of Azeroth to D&D. I mean, the mechanics and stuff might take a little bit of tweaking, but I have heard of people who have done tabletop role-playing in the setting of Azeroth, and they do that because they want more of the Warcraft experience of this world that they're so familiar with, but they just want a new experience. I think and kind of just leading into that, I think one of the reasons you've seen a surge amongst kind of like our circle of friends and in the Warcraft community in general, such a surge of interest in tabletop gaming is because of not only that desire for that new experience of adventuring, but for something that you feel that you have a hand in creating. It's something where, it's just a relatively small amount of time commitment per week, which is more along the style of what most people can commit to nowadays at our age. But yeah, there's so much potential for what can be done with Azeroth beyond World of Warcraft, the MMO. And I guess one of my biggest hopes for just the story of Azeroth and the world of Azeroth is that we have a new way to play in it that's produced by Blizzard. I don't need Warcraft 4 as an RTS. I mean, I've talked about predicting Warcraft 4 Lord knows how many times, but I do think I want new Warcraft experiences. Hearthstone kind of is one. I'd like to see something else. I'm ready for it.
So, in my version of World of Warcraft D&D, it's basically vanilla, except you get transmog.
Oh, nice. That's great. Sign me up. No, but I mean, you are right. If anybody is curious about how it can be done, there was a World of Warcraft tie-in with Celebrity D&D where Matt Mercer hosted an island expedition in the Warcraft universe. It ruined Island Expeditions for me. Thanks.
Me too.
But yeah, it was really, really good. You can search for that and see how easily 5th edition rules can be converted to tell a story inside the Warcraft universe. But yeah. I do believe that part of why D&D, to go off of what Rose said, has become so popular is, I think, for a lot of us, it's scratching that itch that WoW isn't scratching. WoW has become, for good or for bad, because there is a part of me that likes the predictability and likes letting WoW be a comfort game. So I'm not saying this like it's the worst thing in the world, but WoW has become extraordinarily predictable. You know what you're going to log in and do most of the time. Very rarely do you log in and go, whoa! It's just not a surprising game. It's predictable, it's reliable, you know what you're going to get in and do. The reason that sites that post spoilers early are so popular, for a lot of reasons, I don't want to say the only people go to Wowhead, but the reason spoiler articles are so popular is because that's the place where surprises still exist for us. That's it. Other than that, we know just about everything else that's coming down the pipeline. And there's also not a lot of free creative expression in the world of Warcraft. You got transmog, but other than that, a rogue's a rogue, a paladin's a paladin, a death knight's a death knight. Like, it just doesn't, there's not a lot of flavor there. And I think a lot of people have been pushed to tabletop gaming and D&D and other stuff like that, because that's a space where you get to do the opposite. You get to experiment, you get to be surprised, you get to tell a story. D&D's strengths are not WoW's strengths, and vice versa. So I think that's why we're seeing so much attention there, at least.
Yeah, Trial of Cells coming up again soon, by the way, John.
Mm-hmm. gotta constantly defend my title.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, John, I think my transmog is actually pretty darn on point right now.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, it's a mix between some monk gear, like tier gear, and then also the Warfront stuff. It's looking pretty good. I'll put the link in the chat so you can take a peek. But
okay. Well, before we go, because we are getting close, and I don't want us to run over.
Oh, we still got like 15 minutes. We're good.
Well, I get that, but I want to read something.
Okay.
We got an email. Now,
you're going to read it?
Sometimes we don't read them. Sometimes we do. We rarely read them on the show. But I appreciated this email so much because not only is it taking me to task a little bit, but it's doing it in a fun way, and it was very well researched, which is the opposite of what this show is. So I would like to take a moment to just read this email that we received from Kyruk. I think that's how you say it.
Sure.
Kyruk. Cyruk. One of those sent us an email.
This is a total surprise. I had no idea you were going to do this, too.
Neither did I.
All right, so I'm going to paraphrase a little bit, but I am going to still read most of it. What I'd like to discuss today is John's mistaken belief that Matthias Shaw is a bad member of the Uncrowned because of his work with SI-7 for the Alliance in Battle for Azeroth. Although he is one of your champions in the Rogue Class Hall, Matthias Shaw is not a member of the Uncrowned, specifically because of his role with SI-7. He makes this clear when you accept him as a champion. One little caveat off to the side, as the leader of the Uncrowned, I would not have allowed him to do that. But anyway. Quest text upon accepting Matthias Shaw as a champion. Shall we form an alliance, you and I? Of course, I dare not officially become one of the Uncrowned, let alone the Council of Shadows. I am the leader of SI-7, after all. I would have said, I'm good on the alliance. Please be on your way. Don't let the dagger hit you in the back on the way out. Now, let's check the remaining members of the Council of Shadows looking for Horde and Alliance biases. Vanessa Van Cleef, unaffiliated. Leader of the Defiance Brotherhood, hard to say neutral with her hatred for Stormwind, but no affiliation with the Horde either. That's a good point, and I do consider her more Horde-friendly than Alliance-friendly, but she's also a human. And this is part of where my problems come in, because we got a real human-looking person hanging out over there, but we'll continue on anyway. Lord Jorak Ravenholt, unaffiliated. Ravenholt has always been a neutral faction, friendly toward both the Horde and the Alliance. True. Also a human. Dirty human. Next, Fleet Admiral Tethys, unaffiliated, leader of the Bloodsail Buccaneers, normally hostile to both the Horde and the Alliance, unless you kill a lot of goblins. Also true, neutral, also stinking human. Marin Noggenfogger, unaffiliated, Baron of Gadgetzan and member of the Steamweedle Cartel, friendly with both the Alliance and Horde members. True, and an awesome little goblin at that. We'll put 1 point over on the other side of the board. But he also hangs out in a different room. And I think one of my points that I was trying to make was when I look around the council room, I see a lot of Alliance, is what I was saying. And he's not in there.
Yeah.
Taushi, unaffiliated, member of the Shadowpan, friendly to both Horde and Alliance. This was actually news to me because for some reason I thought she was Horde affiliated. But I guess she isn't. I guess she was running with me. I was like, yeah, you're with the Horde. But I guess she's neutral.
You're used to pandas being around because of me.
Yeah. Either way, she's neutral and she's a panda. So she's in a third. I don't have 3 hands, but if I did, it'd be right here in the middle, and there would be 1 finger up. Valera Sanguinar, Alliance. Although a blood elf, her friendship with Varian Rin broke faction barriers. No presence in Battle for Azeroth, except in the books, where she's being a pain in the ass. Yeah, so she looks like a blood elf, but I know, as a blood elf rogue, that she's a dirty traitor. So I still put her on the Alliance side, no matter how she looks. Just want to point out that that's now 5. Wait, hold on. 1, 2, 3.
4.
That's 4. Good job, bro. That's 4
Thanks.
Over here. 1 right here,
By the way,
and 1
Chad
right
is,
here.
is pointing out that Marin Noggenfogger is technically... oh, wait. Yeah, sorry. Nave thinks that he's technically not one of the leadership.
I would agree. He's sitting in the treasure room.
Yeah. So still, not exactly leader. I mean, I know you did say that he's in a different room and everything, but yeah, I don't think he counts at all in that sense.
All right, Garona Half-Orcan, Horde. Her only friendly interactions with Alliance are during Legion and Warlords of Draenor, but technically that's a different Garona. Part of the Horde leadership in Battle for Azeroth, burps when she talks, recruiting troops for the Horde players' missions tables. Yep, she's a Hordey, except she's being weird. So I'm going to put her over on the Horde side. I'm going to do a peace sign with my right hand, but she's being weird.
Also, can I just quickly interject and say, of all of the Horde characters they had to choose from to put by a mission table to handle with the recruitment of the troops, you put in one of your rogues that should be doing stuff not on a ship and should probably be doing things in the shadows.
Like rogue stuff?
Yeah. It seems like just bad use of resources.
She's up to something. The Champions of Legionfall quests in Mid-Legion gave you an additional follower, depending on your faction. Princess Tess Greymane, Alliance, daughter of Gen Greymane, and Princess of Gilneas. No presence in Battle for Azeroth. Considering her father's role in the Alliance and the Gilneans' role in Darkshore, this might say a lot, but I wouldn't be too surprised if she showed up for the Alliance at some point. Yep, agree. 5 fingers on the left Alliance hand. The Stranger. Lillian Voss, Horde. Although she initially resisted joining the Forsaken or the Horde when she rose as undead, she has firmly joined the Horde and taken a leadership role in Battle for Azeroth. She's one of the main quest givers for the Horde War campaign. True, we'll put her on. There's now 3 fingers on the right hand. Too long didn't read. Matthias Shaw was never part of the Uncrowned, has no obligation to follow orders from or report to the leader of the Rogue Order Hall, and if anyone has completely abandoned the neutrality of the Uncrowned, it's the 2 Horde members. Garona, she's acting shifty. You don't have to talk to her the way I do. She's being weird. She's up to something.
She is being weird.
Garona and Lillian Voss. Lillian Voss is fine. She's great. She always has been.
Yeah.
I'll end with this. There's actually no evidence that any organization known as the Uncrowned actually exists anyway, and I'll have to insist that it's never mentioned again. Well, sorry, I mentioned it anyway. I'm the leader. I get to do whatever I want. I'm the leader of the Uncrowned. I will not allow anybody else to talk about it, but I'm going to talk about it as much as I want.
That is rule number 1.
And I will go ahead and read the PSs because they're also pretty good. Also, Serena, Blood Elf Paladin on Madoran to prove that I don't have an alliance bias. That proves nothing. And PPS, whatever, for the alliance. Thank you so much for the email. It was very good. It still doesn't change the fact that I got 5 fingers over here and 3 fingers over here. When I look at that table, it looks like a lot of alliance people. Yeah, and 1 middle finger. And and even on these three hordes, it's a little weird. There's a little weird business going on with most of them. Lillian Voss is the only one. She's the only hero we have. And I'll take Vanessa back. Because she's got my back. Even though she tried to kill me. But we worked it out.
Yeah. That's good. You're friends now. I gotta say, though, Lillian Voss is just pretty awesome. Ever since she was introduced. Like, seriously. I know we say this, like, probably every 5 shows or something, but if you haven't done the Undead starting quest line, like, up till and possibly through Rothy Basin, or whatever that zone's called, I can't think of it right now, do it. It's just really good. Just do it.
Anyway, I agree. I just wanted to read that email. It was very well researched. I liked it a lot. And more emails like that, please. It was very good.
Yeah. In fact, I specifically texted you and said, hey, there's an email that was sent to you.
Yeah.
It was important.
So, thank you very much. And look, it got us to the end of the show. See, I knew how long it would take.
Yeah. Good call. Good call. Well, with that, since we do have some plans and we are going to be heading out of here soon, I got to say, Ro, thank you very much for joining us. It has been an absolute pleasure, as always.
Hey, it's always a pleasure to be on here, guys, and looking forward to coming back sometime soon.
All right. Until next time, though, where can people find you?
You can find me on Twitter at Rowow. That's RHOWOW. I do a few podcasts out there. If you're into Dungeons and Dragons, which we talked about briefly on this show, check out +5 to Hit, where I play a halfling cleric named Faerana Wavecrest, and along with a few other possibly familiar voices, we're having a fun time right now. It's definitely a great show. I suggest you check it out. As far as Blizzard podcasts go, Casual, which is a Hearthstone podcast, Rolling Restart, which is a Warcraft podcast that borrows a lot of structure from this show and is borrowing more than that when the next episode is going to be me and Ben Bumhofer talking about stuff.
Hi.
Hey. And lastly, if you're just looking for more podcasts about Blizzard games, check out the Realm Maintenance podcast. You can go to realm-maintenance.com to check that out, and links to many other great podcasts, including this one.
Cool, and I'm going to reverse that a little bit because you cut out for a second. What is the name of the Hearthstone podcast, just so that everybody gets to hear it?
Yeah, and if you want to find me on the Hearthstone podcast, check out the Hearth Casual podcast. There's a new set coming out, a lot of new neat changes happening for the game, and I'll be talking a lot about it.
Perfect. Hey, John.
Hey, Ben.
I have a question for you.
Yeah, go ahead.
Where can people find you?
Hey, if you want to know what I'm up to, follow me on Twitter at John_Jagger. I will tweet it out when I know where I'm going to be. But I can tell you a couple places for sure. First is a little show about video games. It's called Core.
Core!
That's right. It's a show all about video games. We talk about lots of video games. Last week we talked about Darkest Dungeon. We talked about Heroes of the Storm. We talked about Resident Evil. We talked about all sorts of fun stuff. It's a good show and you should check it out. But if you don't want to hear about video games and you want to instead hear about tabletop games, well, I recommend a show that talks about it. But a show where we play one, which is a different thing altogether, is called There Will Be Dungeons. And it has T. So, There Will Be Dungeons. Let me tell you about this show. We play Dungeons and Dragons.
You do?
Yep, we record it.
Oh, what do you do with that recording?
We put it on the internet.
Oh.
In various places.
Seems like a good thing to do.
And honestly, Ben, it's a fantastic time. Ro said his character. I play a character named Stanley Billings. That may not be the only character I play. But I'll let you find that out for yourself. Anyway, that's a fun show. Find out more about that at therewillbedungeons.com. I'm not joking. We do have teas. If you want to buy tea that's branded to There Will Be Dungeons, you can go to phoenixpearltea.com/TWBD and get some tea.
Wow.
It's really good. What? You can find me
plugging.
there. There's a tea with my name on it. Well, my character's name. But that's just like me. Ben, it's fine.
By the way, Monica, thank you very much for for clipping the entire tea ad and sending it and tweeting it out to everybody.
you can find me in tea. That's where you can find me. Ben.
Yes, John.
Here we are at the end of the show. And as we ruminate on what we've done here today, I think it's only fair that you take a moment to let everybody know where they can find you.
Oh, well, the best place to find me, actually, is on Twitter. I am at Ben the Mage. On Twitter. That's Ben the Mage. I do other stuff, too. Like, I've been streaming a lot more. You can check that out at twitch.tv/Ben Bumhofer. You can do it again, John? Okay. Thanks. Anyways, I've been playing through The Last of Us. That game is pretty dang awesome. I freak out every now and then. I'm really horrible at stealth. And you know what? I gotta say that John gave me a good tip of basically, hey, play good. So I've been playing a little gooder.
Great.
Have you been picking up your bottles lately?
Some might say that I've been throwing them a little bit more.
Good.
Yeah. Although, actually, no, I don't think I did in the last episode. I bashed a brick in someone's face, though.
Yes!
That's pretty good, right?
Brick 'em!
Yeah, not to spoil the whole thing, but hey, John, you know how I tried to stealth and then all of a sudden all hell breaks loose and then I end up killing everything?
Yeah.
It might happen.
Great.
Yeah, it's pretty good. That's a good game. It's a really good game. But other than that, you can check it out. I'm also on YouTube. I'm trying to get more subscribers just so I can have an actual address. Just do a search for Ben Bumhofer. It's also in my Twitter profile. You can click that link and get right over there. This show, though, Azeroth Roundtable, by golly, we're on Twitter on there, too. It's Azeroth RT. You can check us out there. Also, AzerothRoundtable.com has all of our episodes, as well as a link to our Discord. And if for some reason you don't want to go to AzerothRoundtable.com, you can check us out on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, places that you can find podcasts. That's where we are. And last but not least, if you want to send us a really awesome, well-thought-out and researched email, or just crap, whatever, you can send those to AzerothRoundtable@gmail.com.
Hey, everybody. Now that Ben has condoned sending us crap, let's take a moment to appreciate this show before that moment. This show, in all of its glory and its fine endings to every episode, is made possible by you, the people who went to patreon.com/AzerothRT and supported us. We want to send a big thank you out to the Murloc Club. That's Brandon O, Caleb M, Jesse O, Jim G, Haster, Sash, and Aaron. Thank you so much for being part of the Murloc Club. That's right, Ben. That's right. And anybody who helps us out by going to patreon.com/AzerothRT. This podcast runs on smiles, but it also runs on your cash.
And ours.
And ours, which gets reimbursed by you.
Yes. But with that, thank you very much for joining us.
On that
Chat
uplifting
review,
note.
as always, I know that I'm just like, it's like the Casey Kasem thing where he has to go from a sad story into a happy song or whatever, and then he gets all pissed off. That's what this is. So with that, everybody, thank you very much for joining us. It's been great. Ro, thank you very much for joining us. You are awesome as always. And
Thank you.
Until next time, everybody, be good to each other.
Brickham, Ben. It's not just masonry-based pornography anymore. It's now a strategy in The Last of Us.
That's good. That's good. See, is Lagging Balls actually doing their thing? 'Cause if so, we're gonna rate them.
Is Lagging Balls? I don't see them.
TV/
Are they?
Lagging Balls.
Where's Lagging Balls?
I don't know. Why are we talking high?
Where's
What's
Naked
going on?
Balls? That's a show. Goodbye, YouTube. Bye.
I think they're all